G'day guys and gal, the end times is a bit of a trigger word for many Warhammer fans. Fantasy had their end times, giving us some of the most questionable lore in existence, and we ended up with Age of Sigmar, which was received in an extremely lukewarm fashion, where the only thing it does better than 40k is the sculpts. Goddamn, Age of Sigmar sculpts are hot. So whilst 40k loves to tease the end times, always one tick away from the doomsday clock hitting midnight, it never actually wants to get there. But what if every still living Primarch returned to the setting at once? Would it be the endgame? After all, most of the missing loyalist Primarchs literally said they would return for the final battle, with Ragnarok having many names in 40k, or is 40k such an expansive sandpit with so many powerful players now that the return of all still living Primarchs will be nothing more than a spicy affair that then gets dragged into line? Before we get started, there is only 48 hours left of the latest and greatest Majorkill merch drop. I combed through my analytics to find the top 4 most popular merch designs we've ever sold, and I've brought them back for one time only. We have the Only in Death singlet, our most popular item ever, followed by our Get Up singlet, the first design we ever did. Onto the t-shirts, we have the Loyalty t-shirt, a great shirt about a great man, as well as the Midnight Clad t-shirt. If you and your mate grab one of these each, you can then beat the ever-living shit out of each other and pretend you're in the Thramas Crusade. We even made a bundle for it. After these 48 hours are over, that's it. Merch is gone. There will be no Black Friday discount on these 4 items. If you also wanted to stock up on some extra items, all Legacy merch is 25% off, and you can even get a mystery merch item for 30% off if you're feeling lucky. Link is below. Don't miss out. Hiring females to model to wear 40k inspired merch is expensive, so I need to sell as much as I can. Today we'll go over the what if of every still living Primarch returning to the current setting at once. Let's get into it. Okay, so the current setting chronology is a bit messed up and hard to follow as 40k books are never released in chronological order. For example, the recently released Fall of Cadia book is actually one of the very first current setting 40k books chronologically to read, despite books set ahead of it using the same characters coming out years prior. Is 40k the only setting to do this? I feel like it's the only setting to do this. Anyway, it's my job to sort that out, not yours, so don't worry, I gotcha. In the current setting, the line has just returned after the Arcs of Omen campaign, has reunited the Dark Angels, and has been campaigning across Imperium Nihilus. Guilliman recently saved Baal and has been since combating the Tyranid threat. Abaddon is on a quest to try and unlock some mega weapon with Vashtor. The Tyranids are trying to eat ass. The Silent King has been clapped a little bit, both by Imperial and Necron forces, so is gathering his strength in the Pariah Nexus. The Elder are doing basically nothing important, neither at the Tower. Mortarion has been benched after the Plague Wars. Angron is a huge pain in the ass, but has less direction now that Abaddon no longer directly needs him. Magnus is trying to make a huge D&D sorcery party on the newly revived Prospero. Fulgrim has recently returned, but Fulgrim gets distracted easily, so hasn't done anything too crazy yet. The setting is currently in a small lull. A lot of hectic shit happened in a short span of time, so now everyone is taking a breath before the next hectic shit happens. And for this what if, that shit is very hectic. So first, which Primarchs are still considered living? Well, Sanguinius, Ferrus, Horus, Conrad, and Alfarius, or maybe Omegon, but definitely one of them, is dead, which leaves us with Perturabo and Lorgar, who are definitely alive in demon form and actually sort of semi-returned anyway, however are yet to get a model. For the Loyalists, Vulcan, Corvus, and Russ have been confirmed to be alive in some capacity, although lost, with the fate of Jagadai and Omegon being completely unknown, however they are probably alive. Rogel is a toss-up, but let's just say he's alive for the sake of this what if. So everyone who isn't dead comes back at the exact same time. What happens? Cool shit happens, that's what. Let's just say the catalyst for the event is the Star Child re-merging with the God Emperor, giving him back his compassion and consciousness to be able to summon forth the lost Primarchs and guide them home back into the setting. Whether it be Vulcan needing a good slap in the face to snap him out of his orkiness on a feral world, or Corvus to stop tormenting Lorgar and come back to the Imperium, or Russ to get unstuck from within the warp, or Dawn to stop playing with his Legos, or a spank to K-Gorak to release Jagadai, all the living loyalists return. In response to this, Mortarion is let out of his moth jar, Magnus stops playing D&D, Angron is reformed and given new purpose by Khorne, Perturabo finally stops gaming, and Lorgar, now free from his horrifying game of hide and seek with Corvus, also properly returns. Now off the bat, the Imperium is going to have a rough one. Sure, these new loyalist Primarchs are back and powerful, but in a similar way to how the Line and Guilliman were extremely confused when they returned, it will take them a bit to get their bearing. Whilst the Chaos Forces are already ready to go and can emerge straight from the Great Rift in force. Even the hyper-organized Guilliman, who woke up on his homeworld with his army in front of him, was rattled as fuck and only really kicked into form after getting to Terra. The Line took even longer to sort it out, so the Loyalist Primarchs would come back confused and sluggish as they completed their initial quests and managed to bring together their chapters and partially reform their legions. All the while, the traitors would be attacking full force, taking Imperial world after Imperial world. Basically, Guilliman and the Line would need to just hold on for as long as possible whilst the other Loyalists got their bearing. Now naturally, rival Primarchs would seek each other out to settle grudges. There would be a ton of disharmony within the Loyalists, especially from the Primarchs like Russ and Corvus, who were active in Hell for 10,000 years, and maybe a bit changed. Many would reject Guilliman as their leader. As we've discussed, many Primarchs actually hated Guilliman's guts. However, it's not like the traitors would be any more unified. They would be hungry for Heresy 2 Electric Boogaloo, wishing to settle all grudges, and this time they don't have Horus bringing them together, just his upstart first captain. Now, I have actually grown to like Abaddon a bit more as a character since reading more about him. However, I like him because he is flawed. By himself, he is a fantastic character and quite strategically brilliant. However, he just isn't the big bad of chaos, as much as he wants to be. He was so prominent and scary before the age of the Primarchs, because he was a big fish in a small pond. Now he just seems like one especially effective warlord, not the master of chaos itself. The amount of epic showdowns would be awesome, with most Xeno races stepping aside to let Chaos and the Imperium wipe each other out. There would be some interventions, similar to the Heresy, with Eldrad getting involved where he can, Drazyn also wouldn't sit by, and the Tyranids don't really care about symbolism or epic duels and showdowns, so that would be a constant pain in the ass. Many battles would become three-way wars as the Tyranids would enter the system, or even the Orcs would, hearing about a good scrapping. Now, one big advantage the Loyalists would have is that unlike the traitors, the Loyalists learnt their lessons from the Heresy and the Scouring, for the most part. Guilliman is much more tempered and often reflects on the past, such as Imperium Secundus, with the Lion also being way more chilled out, wanting to be the protector of humanity above all else, and learning from the mistakes he made in his desire to be overly secretive, superior, or ambitious. Likewise, Dawn, Jagadai, and the others would have learnt lessons. In contrast, becoming a demon prince is ironically the end of your growth. You become stuck in this forever form, unable to change or adapt. The fact Magnus is still launching invasions of Fenris 10,000 years later at massive cost to the Thousand Suns should show this. Magnus would be desperate to face Lehman. Likewise, Rogel and Perti would be desperate to have their showdown. Guilliman would be keen on another stab at Fulgrim, whilst Jagadai and Mortarion would also need to have their rematch. A wild card would be Omegon and the Alpha Legion. As we know, the Alpha Legion are heavily divided. Some are loyalists, some think they are loyalists, some are hardcore traitors. Omegon has been absent from the setting for 10,000 years, however, if there ever was a time to return, it would be now. Now, if we follow the likely theory that he is a loyalist, he will want to help the loyalist side. However, most of his legion are traitors, so he'll need to do it in a way that isn't super obvious. Something like throwing the traitor side of his legion into a three-way siege between the Iron Warriors and the Imperial Fist that then cops a Tyranid invasion and an Orc invasion simultaneously. The Alpha Legion force helps deal with the Xenos threat, burns themselves out in the siege warfare, which they are very ill-suited towards, and ends up causing way more mass deaths than originally planned for, hurting both the Xenos and traitors at the cost of a loyalist force. Other factors also include the chance that Luther returns to the Lion's side, with dozens of thousands of fallen angels, making the Dark Angels the most powerful force in the galaxy. The Lion would be a huge linchpin that the loyalists would rally behind, preferring to follow him than Guilliman. However, the Lion and Guilliman also formed a mutual respect and a bond during Imperium Secundus and the Ruinstorm events, so the two would work well together. Basically, the setting would become an absolute hot pot of war not seen since the Heresy. However, this time, everyone is pre-armed with the knowledge to fight each other better. Everyone knows who's on what side. The loyalists know how to deal with chaos. The traitors know how to use chaos more effectively. There is way less subterfuge than the Horus Heresy and more just like direct smackdowns. Now, the loyalists do have one very distinct advantage over the traitors, and that is that non-demon Primarchs are constantly evolving and becoming more powerful, discovering new abilities or just getting straight up physical power-ups. For example, when Sanguinius fought Kabunda, the demon broke his legs and knocked his ass out. However, the next time they fought, Sanguinius bodied Kabunda, then immediately killed Angron, then still fought through Horus's entire army on the Vengeful Spirit, and also would have killed Horus if Horus wasn't halfway to becoming a god by then. Likewise, Corvus being able to turn into a shadow monster and still easily kick Lorgar's ass, despite Lorgar being a demon prince, is wild. Like, fights between demon prince Primarchs and loyalist Primarchs usually go one of three ways. Either the loyalist manages to pull off some hectic shit that also almost kills them, such as Jagadai beating Mortarion, or the demon Primarch dominates, which happens when Guilliman fought Fulgrim and Mortarion, or the loyalists win, but only due to the Emperor's intervention, such as the Lion beating Angron using the Emperor's shield. It's very, very rare that a loyalist Primarch straight up outclasses a demon Primarch. Rogel did it to Fulgrim, and Corvus did it to Lorgar. Rust for sure would have unlocked some insane powers, Jagadai as well. Dawn's upgrades would be more subtle, however he really would have grown as a character, his fury tempered, his mind an unbreakable fortress. I don't even want to think about the kind of fucking juggernaut Vulcan would be. Dude would make weapons that would make the Dark Age of Technology stuff look like child's play. His perpetual powers were also actually getting stronger, not weaker, to a point where I'm pretty confident that nothing could kill him for more than 5 seconds. Magnus literally unmade him, stripped the perpetualness from his DNA, and Vulcan still killed him and managed to walk back to the Golden Throne where he completely regenerated. Sure, he had a bad time and every few minutes he would die again, only to get up and keep walking. Perhaps some loyalist Primarchs truly would die, but with the Emperor at their backs, all living Primarchs returning at the same time would be horrendous for chaos. It would be initially hard for the Imperium, but as each loyalist got their bearing, their advantage would increase exponentially. Think about it like this: the Imperium lasted 10,000 years with 0 loyalist Primarchs, despite all the traitor Primarchs that were alive being in play. Sure, the traitors didn't take it very seriously, but the Grey Knights and just Imperial Girth has banished traitor Primarchs many times. Guilliman alone massively turned the tide and has been a huge asset. The line managed to body Angron and is stabilizing Imperium Nihilus. You add in another 5 loyalist Primarchs on top of that and the traitors are fucked. But would it be the end times? No, not really. There would be a huge initial war with many epic battles, but once both sides had blown their load and a number of demon Primarchs were banished, pressure from the Tyranids, Orcs, Necrons and other threats would demand the attention of the wounded Imperium. Also, you need to remember that the what if I am currently describing will probably be the reality of the setting in the next 5 years or so, as demon and loyalist Primarchs continually return. The only difference is them coming back one at a time instead of all at once. So overall, there would be a spicier narrative, but the doomsday clock probably isn't going to tick on to midnight. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up some Majorkill merch. Only 48 hours remaining, don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more epic content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.